I'm a artist who started off as a, child artist, clueless to what art really was, what I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it, clueless to being shut off to my own personal reality, clueless to the role that I play in American society. And art and photography helped me um, become aware of some of the realities about myself. And it aided me in figuring out who I am. Like, what is it that I feel like photography helped me be able to do? Um, so I really got to take a deep look at how I use the camera. They say that art answers the question that ultimately nobody is asking. What question is my work an answer to? What are the effects of racism to a black man in America? What does that do to your perception? What does that do to your subconscious? What does that do to your mind? You're being conditioned to believe that you're inferior, and looking at my photographs as examples of what racism actually is doing to the mind. Me experiencing racism and using photography as a way to help me understand it made me photograph black people. Walking around with a camera, shooting ideas, concepts, for no specific reason, in an attempt to be able to study the images long enough to understand that the conversations that the images are having, the motivations behind my imagination coming up with some of this imagery. I'm always thinking about that. I'm always thinking about what is my work an answer to. I told myself that I was going to become my subject. I felt like at some point, anything that I started to photograph, I really started to study it and, study it and really learn a lot more about whatever the subject was. So, in me recognizing that I had been disconnected from myself, I thought this could help me start to understand like who I am. And thinking that the camera could help me figure out who I was if I took pictures, for no reason. And then I looked at those pictures to figure out my perception of what I was creating. The conflict where I'm experiencing racism, like simultaneously with trying to figure out who I am in a place that lies to me about who I am. But if I go internal to figure out what this experience is, what it means, where it comes from, and then I become the one to define it, that's the only way I can get close to becoming myself. When a white person is saying to me that I need to photograph more white people, you know, so in an attempt to help me figure out what direction to take my work, white people have given me suggestions. They just gave me suggestions that was racist as fuck. The suggestions seemed to help me become clear of what I did want, when what I didn't want was put right in front of my face. I started making images that are images of black people. I started taking pictures of people in close proximity to me. I started trying to take pictures kind of myself, like kind of use myself as my subject, thinking that if I focus really hard on myself as my subject, it would help me learn who I am, the environment I'm in, and why I'm motivated by the things I'm motivated by, why I behave in the way that I behave. I got a nice amount of work that's speaking to the myths of black men. I mean, it's a lot of myths, but I think photography has helped perpetuate some of the American myths. I'm making a conscious effort to make sure that when I'm photographing people of color, I'm photographing them the way I see myself. these myths seem to be reinforcing the illusion that black people are inferior. All the stereotypes surrounding black men, why we do and behave the way that we do. The myths serve the people who are creating the myths. The American dream is having niggas as slaves. So I try to make sure that when I'm showing images of myself and images of people that look like me, I'm not reproducing images that are perpetuating the myths. What I'm ultimately trying to communicate is that what I've been learning about who I am is a complete fucking lie. And my proof that it's a lie is all the images that I'm making. I won't let myself fall into this idea that my reality is that I'm a slave, or that I need help, or I need pity, or I'm underserved, or I'm at risk, or I'm impoverished. It's definitely good for us to be able to make art, because our reality is different than how our reality is being shared. People from outside of our environments are the ones communicating what our stories and our experiences are. So if they continue to be the only one creating a conversation about who we are, we're going to become who they say we are. We don't get an opportunity to become ourselves. And you start to behave in the way that you see yourself reflected. But if I go internal to figure out what this experience is, what it means, where it comes from, and then I become the one to define it, that's the only way I can get close to becoming myself. Images are proof that when you black, you are experiencing America completely the opposite of white people. Because that's ultimately what the images are revealing to me when I'm looking at what I'm making. It's saying that this land is set up for white people and black people serve a specific role. And that role is to be the people walking around on the bottom of it. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it's set up for us to be clueless to who we are. You know, this like racism 101 is like straight identity crisis for the person of color. I couldn't make the images that I'm making if I bought into the lies that have been being told to me about what this country is really about. Just when I'm thinking about it, like, you know, photography helped me navigate my world. You know, it gave me an outlet, you know, it provided me perspective. You know, it provided me freedom to explore my imagination in ways that have been very, very healing for me. So I look at students of mine, I look at some of the work that they create, I look at the way they explore themselves with the camera. That's probably why I would always suggest, like, you know, make yourself your subject. Explore the world that you're a part of, and study it, you know, to in an effort to figure out self. You know, I found purpose in photography, in studying myself, you know, taking pictures of what I felt was important, the people around me, you know, family members, neighborhood, you know, people who was experiencing the world in a similar way to me, you know, black folks, motherfuckers in the hood. I feel like that's the group of people I represent. So I make a huge effort not to try to entertain people with the stuff that I'm making. You know, I'm suppressing some of these ideas and thoughts and feelings and emotions, and I'm trying to dig them up. You know, I think about, you know, what kind of thing is going on in a kid's mind who feel like he might be trapped, or he feels like he might be lost. You know, what does that look like? What does that feel like? You know, I'm interested in really trying to explore that. you know. And it's like I look at some of the things that are happening continuously in the country to black people, and then thinking to myself like, you know, this feels like too much. It's too repetitive to be an accident. The photographs that aren't taken are the photographs that are telling the truth. Like the camera has being used to paint a lie. And the only thing you got to know to be able to take photographs to tell the truth is you got to know who you are internally. And looking at my photographs as examples of what racism actually is doing. But yeah, I guess the simplest way to say it is to keep your American dream idea is me feeling like the American dream has been being taught to me in a way of telling me to photograph white people or telling me not to photograph black people. So the moment I'm photographing black people as my, you know, as my primary subject, I feel like that was me projecting the idea of the American dream is racist all in itself. I always say the American dream is being rich. So, you know, I'm very attracted to a bunch of shit that ain't got nothing to do with rich and money and wealth and success. Like I'm surrounded by the opposite of that shit. You know, and I didn't developed a crazy obsession with photographing it because this shit didn't help me figure out who the fuck I am. So then it's like I'd rather keep making this work. Like our struggle is a part of their dream. Like they're one and the same. I mean, I think that's what I mean by keep your American dream. It's like I'm gonna keep taking pictures of this stuff, even though y'all telling me to take pictures of something else. So you can keep it.